I don't know if you all saw the story the other day that was going viral about how hate crimes are skyrocketing. They're high, it's another consecutive year where the rate has gone up, something like 17%. I did not make a video about it because I feel like it's kind of complicated and kind of misleading. This story I've pulled up: nearly 400 join vigilante mob after losing trust in local police, and this is in the UK. All right, so this is what we're going to be talking about, but I want to make a point about the hate crime stuff. The reason why it may be going up, and the reason why I didn't want to make a video about it, is that many outlets accurately explained the nuance, that they've actually been encouraging law enforcement to seek out, and they've been actively encouraging people to report more. So it may be that overall these incidents are actually going down, but we're hearing about them more because police are taking them more seriously and because individuals are reporting them more often. Simply because the rate goes up doesn't mean there's the correlation and causation, right? So another simple explanation of how statistics can be misleading is that people say lethal crime, like lethal violence, is dropping dramatically. Okay, on the cover, it sounds like what you're saying is that people are committing less lethal crime. That's actually not true, okay? Across the board, we've seen the lethal violence rate go down. That's true, but it's for one simple reason: cell phones. Back in the day, if someone took out a knife and, hurt somebody else with it, you'd all be standing around saying, "We need a phone. Where's a phone?" And because of this, the likelihood that person, doesn't make it, it's really high. But now with cell phones, when something happens, we call paramedics immediately, and the time from which paramedics, emergency services can get to an individual is much shorter. Thus, that crime still exists, but people aren't losing their lives. So when you look at those statistics, it sounds like things have gotten a whole lot better. Now, in this capacity, I think it's fair to say that there's been a lot of talk about how, violent crime has been going down, but something is happening where people in the UK just don't believe it. Nearly 400 people have joined the community watchdog group We Stand Determined, which formed 3 weeks ago on Facebook after losing trust in their local police. They are encouraging all its members and wider community to report any dangers and threats. And it looks like they've got like a little video about it. I don't want to play through the whole video, but I want to just, maybe they'll show something. No, okay, I don't know what this is. It's not playing anything. It's just people talking. Here we have a photo. It says 5 thugs attacked a traffic warden in Birmingham in September. And we have more photos. They say organizers Wayne, Tracy, and Michael founded the group after discovering a friend had been attacked in his home by thieves armed with hammers. Earlier today, West Midlands Police released a disturbing video of 7 thugs hacking a man on the floor with a machete. We Stand Determined run twice weekly patrols across the city, but insist the group is nonviolent and seeks to work in partnership with the police, not against it. Well, listen. I know it sounds pretty badass to go around saying you're a mob of 400 vigilantes patrolling the streets, when in reality you're just a big neighborhood watch group, which is normal. Neighborhood watch groups are a normal thing, right? It's not like a team of vigilante superheroes going around to stop violence or anything like that. Though I mean, maybe. Solihull-based college lecturer Wayne, 47, who does not wish to reveal his surname for fears over his safety, thinks crime in the UK is getting out of hand. And they have some pretty crazy photos here. Look at this! What's going on in the UK, man? What was it like? There was 1 month this year where the lethal crime rate was higher in London than in New York. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, the UK is supposed to be the more civilized, peaceful, less crime. Everyone always complains about how the US is super violent and all that. London, what you doing? What you got going on here? Like, don't get me wrong, we have gang war and stuff like that. He said, the way our group started and the reaction we've had has showed us how much local communities need groups like us to fill in the gaps the authorities simply don't have the funding for. There has been a recent spate of crime in Birmingham recently, and Solihull, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in particular has fallen victim to an increase of just under 1,500 more cases so far this year. People needed someone to turn to, someone who will listen and visit them in their home if a constituent is fearful for their safety. We're vigilantes. But we're vigilantes with a twist, working within the law and not against it. Okay, that just means first of all, you're not a vigilante. You're a neighborhood watch group, and that's cool. Like that's great. I think the reason they're just calling themselves vigilantes is that they're trying to attract people to want to be involved in some kind of like badass, like keep the peace kind of thing. And neighborhood watch doesn't sound too exciting. Neighborhood watch to me sounds like a bunch of old people sitting around playing bridge and complaining about the loud music next door. I know I'm being hyperbolic, but vigilante group sounds like a bunch of dudes wearing like all black, carrying batons, like marching through the streets and beating up criminals. Our group is a central place for the local community to come together to log crimes, comment, and help stop crime in the area. They have more videos. This is metro.co.uk, which I think is considered credible. I don't know. But they have these terrifying videos of stuff happening in the UK. Recently, Birmingham has been blighted by a wave of stabbings, lethal crime, and people firing guns. I'm trying to avoid saying certain things because it's YouTube. But let me just point out that people with handheld items that have triggers that launch projectiles at extreme speeds, if you know what I mean, these are banned in the UK, my understanding is, like for the most part. I understand there's actually, it's not complete restriction on these things. Like in the US, a lot of people believe that in the UK there's like none at all. But my understanding is that there are certain circumstances where you actually can get some kind of object that can launch projectiles at other people from long distances. Also plaguing the city are Corsa cannibals, known for stripping down Vauxhall Corsas to sell the parts on. What is that? I don't know what that means. Corsa cannibals, stripping down Vauxhall Corsas. Do you guys know what that is? I don't know what that is. Tracy said, "We stand determined is not against the West Midlands Police, as they understand the force can only do what they can with limited funding. The group has big plans to generate a totally new level of support in the area by organizing buddy systems for the elderly and defense classes for anyone who feels unable to protect themselves. They hope to grow bigger and claim to have representatives based in every area of the country willing to help." What's really fascinating to me about this is like that's literally how a police force or a government is supposed to form. But whatever the problems they're facing in terms of an increase in crime, the increase in the perception of crime, and a lack of funding from the police is causing individual citizens to now volunteer their time to create an external system because the police aren't doing their job right. Or they're not getting the security they need, which is rather terrifying. So we have this photo here. Let's look at it's a man and a woman. The organizers of We Stand Together say they have lost trust in police in Birmingham. Tracy, 48, said, "We stress to our members that if they see something, they should notify the police first. We would like to join up with the police, but we want to be able to make our own decisions on where the help is really needed and not where the police tell us to be." Wayne added, "We hope to gather funding to support our future objectives. At the moment, we are totally self-funded. I just want to make a big difference to the area and help anyone anywhere who needs it. Crime here is getting out of hand." Why is crime getting out of hand is a question. Typically, poverty breeds crime. That's like one of the main reasons. Seriously, it's just poverty. In the US, a lot of people conflate race with poverty due to very specific historic reasons, and thus they blame certain races for, perpetrating the crime instead of recognizing that, look, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. It's totally mixed. It's actually mostly white, the area I was in, and there was a decent amount of crime, right? It had nothing to do with race. So naturally, when I see a story like this, I know people are going to immediately come out and say it's a race issue, and you're going to look, and it really is a poverty issue. And the reason that ties in with migration, to an extent, not completely, it's not a one-to-one split. A lot of migrants actually have a lower crime rate. But a lot of reasons I think people actually conflate the issues is that people who flee foreign countries or economic migrants, they're poor. That's the main reason. It really is. They said, "We're so proud of our community for standing up to what we believe is an ongoing issue that's yet to have a solution." A spokesman for the West Midlands Police said officers were aware of multiple groups, but advised members to join police-approved street watch programs instead. Well, as you heard from them, they don't want to have to do what the police say, especially when the police aren't doing good enough. And it looks like, I don't know why Metro included these photos, as a forensic team at the scene after two men. Okay, I would really, if you're watching and you live in the UK, seriously, I mean this seriously, can you explain to me how there's, object launching projectile violence in your country when those are mostly restricted? I can't even say the word. No, seriously. There was a point where Google actually outright banned all forms of the word. So if you're an anime fan, there's an anime called Gundam Wing. You couldn't actually type in Gundam Wing because of the first three letters of that word would cause Google to be like, nope, you can't search for this. That's ridiculous political censorship, by the way. How is there this kind of crime in a country that has extreme control over things like this. And the same can be said for California. Look, I think it's fair to say that, you know, certain background checks and training programs and insurance and a bunch of other things maybe make sense. There's an argument to be had. I know people have countered because in the U.S. we have the First and Second Amendment rights. But I think it's fair to say that a debate can be had. I mean, arguments and changes can be had, compromises can be made. But I think when you look to the UK and you see that this kind of stuff still happens, I don't know if, you know, them banning specific objects actually has done anything to resolve these issues. For the most part, it seems like it hasn't. As for the 400-member vigilante mob, I love how Metro frames this, when in reality, they should call it a local neighborhood watch group. Plain and simple. Neighborhood watch group generates 400 members. They call it a mob. Are there mobs going on? No, they talked about a buddy system for the elderly. That's not a 400 vigilante mob. Oh, I love the press. Don't you? Don't you love the press? Yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I might have another video in a few minutes. I don't know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow on the main channel.